Now let's turn to Ms. Erica Bradley, Doctoral Fellow of the Upper Department, for promoting forward thinking in your own organization. Please.
Okay, good morning. As Daniel said, my name is Erica Bradley, and today with my presentation, I hope to transform forward thinking from a vague, abstract concept into something that is personal, real, and meaningful for you and your organization. But before we can do that, you've got to understand your forward-thinking abilities and your forward-thinking capabilities. So, if you don't mind, turn in your notebooks in front of you to page 27. You'll find a brief survey of 7 questions and use the attached scale of 0 being never, 1 being seldom, and 2 being always. Answer those questions as they pertain to you and your current forward-thinking potential. When you get finished filling out those questions, go ahead and give yourself a total score. Alright, so if you scored 0 to 4, you are what's called a convenient forward thinker. What that means is you forward think only when it conveniently fits into your already busy schedule. You don't spend time in reflection. You don't maximize your skills to promote forward thinking within your organization. If you scored a 5 to 9, you're what's called an average forward thinker. This is where most of us are going to fall today. Although you are a forward thinker and you enjoy reflection and seeking out new opportunities, your busy schedule does not permit you to do that. And if you scored a 10 to 14, you immerse yourself around forward-thinking opportunities, you enjoy reflection, you reflect on past circumstances, and you get to know those people within your organizations. You surround yourself with these people that are creative and innovative. So, how can you maximize your forward thinking in your organization? Now that you see that you are a forward thinker, and where you fall in that category of you forward think quite often or not enough, how do you do that? You use three simple steps. You need to have a strategy, you need to reflect, and you also need to manage your time. While all 3 of these seem simple enough, I'd like to break them down and look at them specifically as they pertain directly to forward thinking. Your strategy. You need to ask yourself 2 questions with your strategy. First, where do we want to go, and how do we get there? The most successful strategies are built backwards, not forward. Your strategy needs to have 3 components. First off, it needs to be a positive strategy. Your presentation will go a long way with this. If you present this to your staff or your organization as a negative concept or something that has to be done or a mandate, then it's not going to be as lucrative. Next, your strategy needs to be a shared strategy. You've already heard from the other speakers the importance of everyone being on board with forward thinking. This is true of your strategy. Not only will you create better work, it will be more lasting work if it is shared. And last, your strategy needs to be attainable. It needs to be reachable. We've all been given these goals that are impossible to achieve. So often we give up before we even start. Your strategy for forward thinking does not need to be that way. It needs to be something that your coworkers, your organization can feel a part of, and something they can feel they can reach. So now, when you incorporate these three components into your strategy, you'll create a lasting work, but also be able to find a common purpose for your organization. So here's your challenge as a leader. You need to take possibility thinking, which can be yours or those around you, and turn it into an inspiring reality. This is where you get to motivate people. This is where you get to invoke passion in them. But then you can't leave it there. You got to take that inspiring reality and make it a shared reality. Secondly, you need to reflect. So when you reflect, you first need to look into your past. Harry Truman said the only thing new under the sun is the history we do not know. We've all heard the phrase, history repeats itself. This is true with your organization. You need to fine-tune and look into the past and see what worked, what didn't work, and find out how to fix it. Be forward-thinking enough to anticipate the end result. Also, your reflection, you need to learn from prior mistakes and challenges. I'd like to point out that forward thinking does not only involve learning from your mistakes and challenges. Certainly you can learn from those around you. Here's an example. Many of you may or may not recognize this plant. This is kudzu. Kudzu is not native to America. Kudzu actually originated in southeast Japan and southern China. Kudzu made its appearance in the U.S. in 1876 at the Centennial Exposition Celebration in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. America was celebrating its 100th birthday, and various countries were asked to attend, and many of them brought gifts. The Japanese government brought over this beautiful array of flowers, one of which being kudzu. However, they've discovered that kudzu is an invasive weed. As beautiful as it may look, it is impossible to kill because the roots are so wide and they implant so deeply into the ground. So here's the problem with kudzu. We now have an epidemic in the southern states, although it originated in Pennsylvania, and here's how this happened. Scientists in the South knew they could come up with a solution to fixing the problem to kudzu. So they would transplant a portion of it from Pennsylvania down to their native state, and they would experiment with various herbicides and natural insects. They were unsuccessful. Well, another scientist would come along and think they had the key to the solution, and they would transplant that plant into another portion of the South, and so forth and so forth and so forth, and you all see in the picture. This is now why we have an epidemic of kudzu in the South. They don't call it the vine that ate the South for nothing. So what we can learn from this plant is that learn from your mistakes. Don't keep making them. Tweak your pattern, tweak your end result to anticipate forward movement for your organization. And lastly, in reflection, you need to analyze current trends and patterns in order to anticipate forward movement within your organization. This type of reflection is key in order to gain a level of success that you want for your organization. It not only provides you a window to the future for your organization, but it also provides a door of communication between yourself and others. The third component to maximize your forward-thinking potential in your organization is time management. And Rachel has already alluded to the fact that many administrators do not have time to do this, but I would like to point out that statistic says that 3% of leaders are forward-thinking. It says nothing about your organization. First, you need to designate the time within your daily schedule. You need to be consistent with this, and I'm not saying to take 20, 30, 40 minutes out of your day to do this. This can simply be done in 2 to 5 minutes. Just keep it consistent. And what you're going to find is that you're going to want to spend more time in this type of thinking. This type of reflection requires not only reflection, but also analyzing and learning. This is the kind of reflection that we're talking about with forward thinking. Next, you need to think. Constantly be thinking, and many of you probably already do this. Those nights that you lay down in bed at 10 o'clock but you don't go to bed till 1 because your brain doesn't stop. This is the type of thinking that we're talking about. You can do this when you're driving to work. You can do this while you're brushing your teeth, while you're enjoying your morning muffin. You can do this at any point of the day. You don't have to chunk out time for this. One of the key things that I want you to understand about forward thinking is it is not something to add to your workload. Rather, think of it as a habit and a new way of thinking about things. Lastly, and most importantly, you need to enlist others. Let's face it, many of us in this room, whether it's because of personal life or work life, we don't have time. There are only 24 hours in the day. You know those around you. You know their strengths. You know their abilities. You know their skills. You need to tailor to them. Find a task. If you don't have time for it, give it to them. Let them go with it. I'm going to paint a picture of 2 different organizations with 2 different leaders. Organization A has a leader that is a facilitator and allows people to branch out with their own skills and knowledge set. They trust them to do simple tasks and results and let them go with it. On the other hand, you've got Organization B that has a leader that is more of a dictator and a micromanager. They don't let things go. They don't tailor to the skills and needs of those around them. So which organization do you think is going to get the greater gain? Organization A or Organization B? Naturally, A. This is how you enlist others. So when you get these people on board, here are a couple questions to help guide you towards forward thinking. And if you have monthly meetings, bi-monthly meetings, these are a great tool to pull out every now and then just to reflect with one another. What mission in life absolutely obsesses me? What's my most distinctive skill or talent? You're going to learn a lot about people, whether you want to or not, when you pull out this one. What's my burning passion? If we can invent the future, what future would we invent for our organization? How would we like to change the world for myself and our organization? What will happen in the next 10 years if we remain absorbed, involved, and enthralled in our work? And lastly, what does my ideal organization look like, and how do we get there? Remember, this pertains to your strategy and your backward design in getting there. So now that you got a plan, where are these people? Where are the Mark Cubans? Where are the Professor Bloomfields? Where are the Henry Fords? Here's a few simple traits to look for. Do they have abstract ideas? Do they think outside the box? These are your problem solvers, your riddle getters. If you have a catchphrase at opening meetings, these are the people that get them right away. Are they anticipated thinking? Do they strategically plan? Are they innovative and creative? This is not arts and crafts creativity. This is, are they creative with ideas and big concepts? Are they able to formulate a plan and get to the end result of that plan? Do they have intuition regarding past mistakes? Do they have a drive for change? Do they embrace change, or do they run from it? Forward thinkers embrace change. Passion and attention for something significant, engagement and reflection, and orientation to outcomes. So now here's your challenge again, turning possibility thinking into an inspiring reality, and turning that inspiring reality into a shared reality. Final outcomes and desired consequences will result in shared action that will follow your shared reality. So how do you keep this thing going? How do you make sure that it's not something that you're going to implement and 6 months down the road it's going to be forgotten? It's going to be paperwork that's under your desk. It's not going to continue. You can do 3 simple things. First, give opportunities for growth and creativity in your organization. Like I said earlier, you get to know those people around you, know their strengths, their skills, their abilities, their talents, what they're passionate about, and give them those specific tasks tailored to their need, and monitor their progress. Allow for failure without blame. As you've heard this morning, forward thinking does not guarantee success. If you give a task to a person and they are unsuccessful with it, don't beat them down about it, and certainly don't forget about them if something else arises. Keep giving them opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to succeed, and eventually they will. And lastly, you need to be proactive and supportive for those around you. You need to ask yourself every morning, how can I help people in my organization become empowered, be able, and feel competent in what they're doing? I'll leave you with this quote from Bill Gates. Virtually every company will be going out and empowering their workers with a certain set of tools. And the big difference in how much value is received from that will be how much the company steps back and really thinks through their business processes, thinking through how their business can change, how their project management, their customer feedback, their planning cycles can be quite different than they ever were before. Thank you.